Good morning, afternoon, and evening, Supercoach Elites. Welcome back to another Supercoach Elite live video. My name's Corey, and today we have a very, very special guest with us in Jason Barnett, the winner of Supercoach 2020. How are you, my friend?
Not too bad at all. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. We will drop Twitter handles and all our pages, so hit us up on Patreon, patreon.com/SC Elites. Hit us up on Twitter at SC Elites, Facebook, iTunes, SoundCloud, and of course YouTube at Supercoach Elites. Jason, you've got your own handle. Where can we find you on Twitter, my friend?
At Go for Barney.
Go for Barney. Get across, give him a follow, because obviously Supercoach knowledge second to none, especially in the 2020 season. How you feeling? We are a week out? Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, most of the week. First few days are pretty crazy. Had a lot of people get in touch with me and took a while to sink in, but I think now it's starting to be a bit more real. So yeah, enjoyed the week. Definitely.
You didn't have much pressure, did you? There wasn't too many up your ass, was there?
Not really. And even the weeks leading up to, I never felt like I was in striking distance to the last round. So I wasn't too stressed sort of around 16, 17 and then round 18. I sort of finally felt like I was in reach and a lot of things went right. So I was 99% sure I'd already won by the end of Sunday night. So Monday wasn't too stressful.
That's crazy. How much ended up winning by?
I think it was about 110 points in the end. Yeah. So I was pretty comfortable.
That's nice. Who'd you captain the last round?
Stuck with Gorney's captain VC. I felt like the rest of my team had done enough, so I didn't want to take that extra risk.
Yeah.
If it wasn't going well, sort of early Sunday, I was thinking about taking a bit of a swap to Dangerfield or Fife or someone. So Dangerfield would have been a ripper in the end, but Gorney was safe. So
assuming the week before you avoided Lockie Neal?
Didn't captain Neil, so that was a lucky one. And the week before as well, I was lucky enough to dodge Doherty's score, had Rivers' emergency, and loopholed him on as well. So I think there was only a handful of us in the top 10 that got Rivers' score instead of Doherty. So that's probably a bit of luck there, and it really got me up the top end.
I call it skill, my friend. I call it skill.
Yeah, well, yep.
When did you start playing Supercoach? How many years have you been playing for?
I've sort of always been playing it since I was back in school, so probably the last 15, sort of 16 years. Never probably taken it completely seriously to the last sort of 6 or 7 years, but always been around sort of Dream Team and Supercoach since I was pretty young.
And there you go. And your highest rank prior to this season?
Highest rank was a couple of years ago. It was around the 400 mark.
Yep.
And then last year I was around 2,500, I think. So never been right at the pointy end.
There you go. Look, I think 400 and 2,000, I think anything in the top 10K is normally pretty good. I know there's people at the start of the season that dream of getting in there. And you sound like you're a pretty serious Supercoach player. So again, congrats. Before we get into the kind of more pointy questions, the 50K, mate, what do you plan to do with it?
Yeah, well, I feel like if COVID wasn't a thing at the minute, I'd probably be straight in a plane somewhere, but not really an option right now. So I'm actually looking to build a house a little later in the year, so that'll go a way to help them with that anyway. So
good on you. Congratulations. Now, let's get into the Supercoach talk. Your pre-season study for this year, how much went into it? What did you look at? Is it just the same as any other year? Were you a little bit more invested? Give us a bit of a rundown on that.
Yeah, I think from memory, I sort of didn't start till a bit later this year. I've found in the past, you'd sort of start, as soon as it opens and you just end up changing it 1,000 times. So I sort of held off a little bit till maybe a couple of weeks before Supercoach actually started. Just so I wasn't overthinking it. Obviously you got to put in a little bit of research, but it's just a bit painful changing your team 500 times before the start of the season. So I probably only started a couple of weeks out this year, I reckon.
That's pretty interesting. You talk about that fact about eliminating those chopping and changes, because you do see that. You see everyone that does it, especially we get messages 24/7, do you like my team, do you like my team, do you like my team? And it's been 3 days since the game's opened and, you're seeing 3 completely different teams. I'm going to jump across to a question that I had from one of our admins. This was admin Will, and he asked, "Did you start with Gawn and Grundy?"
I did start with Gawn and Grundy.
Yeah.
Just seemed like the safe thing to do. And carried Grundy through to the end and carried Gawn through till he had his injury. Brought Nick Nat in for a month and then back to Gawn to finish off the season. So,
would you say that because of less preseason stress and you did start that a little bit later, that you didn't think too much about the ruck situation?
Yeah, that's probably one thing that I probably locked in early and didn't give myself enough time to overthink that one. Sometimes you can overthink things a little bit, but I think Gawn and Grundy was just getting in and work the rest out from there. So.
I love it. I started with Nick Nat, so but I also picked some pretty shit players throughout the season as well, and that's probably a great little segue. Did you pick? This was another question that we had from admin setters. Did you pick different players this year to what you would normally pick? To your 2019, did you take the scoring system into account at the start of the year, or did you just stick pretty simple to how Jason plays Supercoach every year?
Yeah, pretty standard. I don't usually deviate too far from just a guns and rookies strategy. So sort of went for the same sort of structures and same sort of premium level players that I would in previous years.
Yeah, love it. Petrarca?
I got him in early-ish. Didn't start with him, but I got him in about round sort of 4 or 5 when he was still about 470k. So got him in at a good price point still.
What were you ranked after round 1? Can you remember?
Round 1, I think, was about 10k, but round 2, I think I jumped into the top sort of 400 after that. So from round 2 onwards, I was always pretty much up there.
Your craziest pick of the year? Someone that you just,
either
started with or came out and said, I'm going to jump on this guy early? Or
I kept it pretty safe at the start of the year. I didn't have too many sort of pod type players in there. I think my lowest owned players were sort of Greenwood and Josh Dunkley at the start of the year. So nothing too outrageous. I generally do keep it reasonably safe. I think later in the season is when you can look to take a few more risks. So I think it was around 16. It was the buy round, so we had the 3 trades and sort of traded out 3 blokes that had the buy that week and brought in Stephen May, Jared Lyons, and Matt Crouch, all owned under 3%. So probably not players that you'd consider taking for a full season, but when they've just got to perform for the last 3 weeks of the season, you can take that risk. So, and they all finished really strong. May was very strong in the end. Crouch was good, and Lyons, until he gave me a heart attack in the last round, was very good as well. But he just couldn't get in the last round. So
it's something that we talk about a lot on this, and it's the seasonal splits. And it's, again, you're exactly right. You don't have to own them for the whole year. You just need to own them for when they're ready to go. And hats off to you, mate, because you've definitely done that, especially with some pods. What were you ranked roughly around that stage? I'd say high.
Around rank 16 or
yeah.
I think I was around about 14. I think so. I still felt like that was a little too far back. It was about 300 or 400 points back, I think, which felt like a lot to make up. But I guess you sort of underestimate how you can make points up.
Was that the whole reason for that trade, that you needed some uniques that were just going to skyrocket?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you sort of you got to sort of differentiate yourself a little bit to make up that big gap, and all 3 of those players pumped out at least one pretty monster score, so definitely went a long way.
It's I can't tell you how happy I am to hear those 3 names too. I know Bomps crapped on about Crouch for the whole kind of back end of the year every single week. I was massive on Jared Lyons, but never picked him, and absolutely love the bloke. And I actually had an admin come and ask me whether they should pick Stephen May or someone else, and I told him someone else but around that stage too. So I'm glad that someone would have ignored words that came out of my mouth that it paid off for you, brother. But look, anything else on your kind of Supercoach season that you want to talk about? Something that maybe, because that was great knowledge there. That kind of, you're sitting 14th, you've gone and taken those pods, they've paid off for you, and you've won Supercoach. So
probably just one thing I'd say so one of your cardinal rules is obviously never sideways trade premium, and everyone says every year, and it's 100% correct. But I do think there's points where it is possible to do that, and I think probably 3 times through the year, I looked at trading out some of these blokes that had absolutely peaked in price. So Clayton Oliver, I think he peaked at 700K at one stage, and your rookies on the bench, the money starts to dry up pretty quick. So you can take that risk and trade out a player that's seriously in form at 700K and get a player in at sort of 580, 550, and you've made 120, 150K, and that's what you make from a Cullingham rookie anyway. So when that money's drying up on the bench, I don't think it's a bad call sometimes to trade in a player that's really peaked. Obviously, a lot of people are still trying to get Clayton Oliver in at this price at 700, just thinking, he's going to keep doing that. But, you can sort of hedge against him a little bit, and whoever you bring in, hope that they're sort of going to average the same as Clayton will for the rest of the season. So I think I brought in 5 at that point.
So Clayton Oliver got a 5.
Yeah, they both averaged roughly 110 for the rest of the season. So points-wise, it was a side grade, but you're still making that money that you weren't making off your bench anyway. So, and I did that with Josh Kelly after he almost double tonned up as well. I think he got up to about 670 or something. And James Sicily went on a bit of a tear as well. So 3 blokes that had a huge run, and I jumped off them at their peak. Sicily obviously ended up getting injured, which was unfortunate for him, but great result for me. I did think that there's a chance he'd play forward at times anyway, and he'd be very up and down. So he was one that was pretty comfortable laying. And Josh Kelly has got injured as well. So, obviously got a bit of luck, but I don't think not trading out premiums is like a flat rule. If you can justify what you're doing it, then definitely go for it.
Fortune favours the brave, my friend. Fortune favours the brave. That is an interesting tactic, and I am so happy that it worked for you. That's especially in a year where it was hard to find rookie cash.
It was, and I was monitoring the teams above me, and all the time I felt like they had a bit more rookie cash on the bench as well.
Yeah,
I think I must have culled Pickett a bit early. And all these teams at the pointy end had him sitting there at 350K, and I'm just thinking, how am I going to make this money back? So definitely took a few risks just to make that extra cash and get to full premium as soon as possible.
It's funny because hindsight's a beautiful thing, and you spoke about that Rivers move with the Dockers. Now, if you didn't implement those strategies that you did, I don't think you would have had Rivers there.
Yeah, yep, that's true.
So, that's great little bit of insight. Who was your favourite pick of the year? Like, who was the one that, you got 50K, there's 50K coming your way, and it's just like, you know what, you are my boy. You got me there.
Oh, I think it'd have to be one of those 3 that I mentioned earlier, possibly Stephen May, because he was probably the one I was a bit iffy on. Generally, those key defenders aren't Supercoach gold, so I was a bit iffy on that one, but he really pulled through with a couple of huge scores in the end. So
let's see, you can go have a beer with Stephen May.
Now,
of course, there's a couple of questions everyone's been waiting for me to ask. Who do you barrack for?
Bombers fan, so been a rough year, rough 10, 15 years, but I guess you become a bit accustomed to it.
Yeah, now I know you didn't listen to the page this year, and that's fine. But I'm a Collingwood supporter who actually owns 2 Bombers memberships. So,
yeah, right. Yeah. I think I must. I do think I saw that pop up on Twitter at some stage.
Yeah.
So,
lost a little bit there, and ended up buying 3 memberships actually for some
right.
Bombers and their kids. So I think Essendon just went downhill from there. Look, let's get into a bit of a fun. What was the other question? Did you know when you won it? I did actually at the start, didn't
I? I was pretty confident by Sunday night that I had locked it up, but I wasn't going to believe it until it opened. So,
yeah. Have you put any thought into 2021 yet? As a man who's a late starter to 2020,
the mind boggles a little bit. So, probably one name that I am keen on early is Sam Walsh. I do think he can take that next step, finish the season very well. It looks like Paddy Cripps isn't going to be holding up that midfield as much as he normally has. So I'll be keeping an eye on him throughout the preseason for sure.
Maybe Sam May might make a repeat appearance into your
He
team.
might have to.
No, look, bit of a fun question. Who do you, obviously we know who's going to win the Brownlow this year, but grand final, who do you think's going to win? Who do you think's going to make it?
I think those experienced teams, the Tigers and the Cats, might just get through again. I'd probably be back in the Tigers, I think.
Yeah, beautiful. Norm Smith.
Norm Smith. Will be hard to go past Dusty again if he gets in, but
they'll give it to him if he's there.
Yeah, seems to get a few extra votes.
Done. Jason, my friend, thank you so much for your time. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that are targeting you at the moment. You're a busy man. You're still working, even in the bloody pandemic. And yeah, you're going to be a very, very popular man when that check clears and the doors open, mate. So thank you. We'll love to have you on again at the start of the preseason if you're keen. Just for a bit of a chat with what you're looking at. But on behalf of the elitists and our patrons at patreon.com/SC Elites, thanks for your time, brother, and good luck to your 2021 season.
Not a problem. Thanks, guys. Yeah, just hit me up next season if you want to have a chat.
Done. And your Twitter handle one more time?
At Go for Barney, the number 4.
Cheers, brother. Thank you.
Thanks.